Hello, again. Welcome to Deduction, the next part of our series. So let's talk about the mood of a room or a certain environment. So every person in an environment brings a different mood to the room. A real environment where we require social skills wouldn't have people. But because all of us have developed a highly adaptive social environment and social abilities, all of our situations are constantly changing. People are always doing things and always thinking and always communicating something that we don't always have the ability to comprehend or understand. And it's never 100%. It's not a 100% sort of thing, handling situations or circumstances. It always takes understanding strategies and tactics and methodologies, thoughts, and systems that have been developed over time. And we're always changing and evolving. And whenever we have an opponent or an enemy, it makes us strive to be greater than who we are. Because without conflict, we stay the same. And we do like comfort. We don't like conflict in general. So it is important to be able to understand when you're running away from home. So let's talk about judging the mood of a room. So let's say you're in a boardroom or a board presentation. Every person in that room, based on their actions, gives a little bit away about themselves and what they like and dislike. And when somebody's doing something or saying something, it's very important to understand the way they're saying it. Not necessarily listen to their words, but their tone behind what they're saying or how they word things. It's very important to study this. So let's give an example. So I had to present to commanders in the military. And one of the things that's very important and taught in the military is stoicism, or having a blank face, an expressionless face that's hard to read. Poker face, essentially. One of the other things I would add to it is the look of being tired, which is very easy to replicate. And one of the ways to do this is to relax and then just give like kind of almost a sad face, but you scrunch up the forehead here and you make everything very strenuous on your mind, and that way you can give a look of tiredness. And what that does is it gives the illusion, or rather the perception, that you're working very difficult. But if you know what you're doing and you know how to handle things, it's not necessarily that you're stressed out or that it's hard to do, because true stress comes from emotion and misunderstanding. So if you need to replicate it in order to get across a certain message, that's one way to do it. There's another saying that we have, and that's keep your boss happy. And the purpose behind this is so that if he's happy, then he stays out of your way. It's not very uncommon, such as the micromanaging boss. And the way to handle that is to give him more than he can micromanage. So if you overwhelm him with things, then he won't micromanage as much anymore. And if he does, he'll burn himself out. And burnout happens often when we get frustrated and we strive very hard and don't get anywhere. And that's because, generally, of emotion, because we might not be going towards the right objective. So let's talk about testing the waters. And one way to test the waters is using what I like to call probes. So you make an action, or you do something, or you make a tactical mistake in order to judge how people will react. And then that will tell you more about them. For example, if I mention something that people don't like, I will see who has the strongest objection to it and who has the weaker one, and how they attack it. I also would look at who's Quiet people are always thinking more than they act, and people that aren't quiet usually act more than they think. So, a good way to judge that. Studying people is very important because we are, after all, talking about people. And every situation that requires this methodology involves people. There's another thing that you can do, and that's called a cat's paw. So cat's paw is using someone else towards your own gain. So for instance, if you suggest to someone an action enough times, it will get stuck in their mind and they'll end up doing it. But they'll think it's their idea. So insinuation and suggestion are very useful in this method so that you get a person to do something that you want without having to do it yourself. Because after all, we can't do everything ourselves. We're only one person. But if you master insinuation and suggestion, then everyone else becomes a part of you, becomes a avenue towards your objective. And this is a way to have a happier, healthier life and to be able to understand navigating situations without having them affect you negatively, without having them frustrate you, make you more emotional. So I hope you'd enjoyed this segment and join me next time for our demonstration.